What is up, everybody? Good morning. We're talking about site selection and trade areas and radii and cell phone data this morning. Very briefly, kind of want to walk you through what we look at on our side of things when we're looking at opening a new business or a new business. I just said that. An additional business, first or next kind of location, and how trade areas are formed, because a lot of people talk about radii, and well, that's a great tool. We kind of associate that with a machete and just carving off giant chunks. In that, when we get into more refined cell phone data usage and true looking at the trade areas specifically, that's more like a scalpel, we say. So we need both. We need to chop big things off and get it out of the way, and then we need to come in and refine it a little bit. So one is not really as useful without the other. And you need both to make a great decision. So this is an area up in Northwest Ohio, or Columbus, Ohio, Northwest, near Dublin, and that northwest corner of the city. We have a grocery store, which is normally what we take a look at as part of a like a retail center point type of a thing. And so there is a Giant Eagle here. There's a Walmart Supercenter here. So we can tell you right off the bat that there's a need here. There's two major grocery stores, two major retail center points. And so they've determined that this is an area in need for these services. So you can count as like a smaller business. You can count on that. Those grocery stores put a lot of money into this. They did a lot of research, and they know that there's demand in this area. However, if let's say we take this Walmart, just because that's generally kind of a larger organization, if you will, rather. Where in the hell is my radii? Here we go. If we go to this Walmart, and normally a trade area in the suburbs, we're probably talking about a mile and a half ish. So that's that. It's about a mile and a half in the burbs, or what we would call somewhat urban. You could also call it that. And we could also take it out to about maybe go out to about 3.5 also. Yeah, we'll stick it at a mile and a half. That's a better view. A mile and 3/4. We'll split the difference. So as you can see, it incorporates, when you would just use a radius, and this is what we would use to kind of say, okay, this is generally what we're looking at for a trade area. What are our area analytics? How many people are in here? But as you can see, it's not exactly all residential in the area. There's this kind of municipal airport for the Ohio State that takes up a huge amount of land back here, so no one's living back there. There's also, as you'll see, a Route 33 and a river bisecting the trade area. There's also a couple major roadways here, and you can see that this kind of dead ends again into this green space here. So these are things we look at on a map to understand, okay, like what is really the movements of these consumers in this area going to look like? Because if someone's down here, they are a mile and a half or a mile and 3/4 from this Walmart. However, very unlikely for them to go all the way over, come up, go across the river, and go over to Walmart, when there's an additional Target down here and other retail center points down here. At the same token, if someone's down in here, or maybe down at the southern point, they're unlikely to go back up and across the river. That adds a lot of time to them, maybe annoyance. Those are usually traffic choke points to get across those kinds of things. So that's kind of where the cell phone data comes in, because if we hold cell phone data, which I have not done for this Walmart, we would most likely, let's do a polygon here, end up with something that looks more, well, that's a Trader Joe's up there, but we'll still include it. We're going to really probably end up with something that looks more, why is this not working? I'm sorry. We're going to mark it up. We're going to end up with something that probably looks a little something more like this, as like an immediate trade area. And there's very likely, they probably pull from further down here and everything like that as well. But, now you're getting into the trade area of this other giant eagle down here. There's a Japanese market over here. So this is probably going to be where the majority of the retail consumers are going to end up being. So why am I showing you this? What the hell is the point of all this? Well, it's to say that if you're looking at a market analytically and you're pulling data or something like that based off of radii, it's not necessarily going to be a one-to-one comparison with what you're actually going to get into or going to see as a true realistic representation in the real world, because people have a hard time crossing barriers. They have a hard time crossing highways. Even Columbus, Ohio, we have this loop going around called 270. There are very strategic places that cross that loop. You can't just get across willy-nilly wherever you want. So we are very much separated by inside and outside of the loop. So that situation applies all over to these center points and to these things that there's only so many bridges that go across the river. There's only so many overpasses that go over the highway, only so many tunnels that go under the highway. So these things all take into account the convenience factor of how consumers and people travel, and you notice that in your daily life and everything like that. As you go around, maybe that grocery store is closer, but I can turn right out of here, and I don't have to deal with as much traffic. It's a little further, but it's actually ends up being quicker for me. Those kinds of decisions you're making all the time subconsciously, and that's what we're trying to capture with this data, is to truly understand what that consumer behavior is like and how that impacts what the quality of the trade area for that retail center point is. So that was a little long and rambly. I understand I didn't do a great job of explaining that, but hopefully you get the general gist of, radii gives us a good starting point. It allows us to say, is this even somewhere that we would consider looking deeper or spending the time and pulling the cell phone data, because that's a much more detailed and nuanced process, just practically speaking. So radii kind of helps us, carve off those big pieces, and then we can jump in with some cell phone data and really get a better idea for like what these trade areas look like and what these consumers are truly doing to make the best decisions. So I guess I'd say, if you have an area you're looking at, if you've got a business that you're looking to locate, hit us up. We are quite good, if I do say so myself, at what we do. We got some pretty cool data tools we'd love to show you, and happy to hop on a Zoom and give you an opinion of what you're looking at, or walk you through a process of how we'd tackle your problem or your location, because the beauty of this space is that it's very market dependent. It's very nuanced in that sense as well. So this helps us, get a real deep look into what's going on at the ground level. So have a kick-ass Monday, and we'll see you guys in the next one.